For thousands of years, one creature haunted the nightmares of the galaxy. Not an empire. Not a weapon. Not a plague. A beast. Entire civilizations had given it different names. The Varkathi called it the World Eater. The Silurians called it the Devourer of Suns. The ancient Keth archives simply labeled it Extinction Event. But among the Galactic Council, there was only one official designation. Beast 01. A creature so dangerous that every known record about it was classified at the highest level. Because wherever the beast appeared, planets died. No one knew where it came from. No one knew what species had created it. And no one had ever survived a direct encounter with it. Entire star systems had vanished after the creature passed through. Colonies that once held billions of lives were reduced to silent spheres of dust and shattered oceans. And the worst part? No one had ever truly seen the beast fight. They only saw the aftermath. Broken fleets drifting through space. Cities crushed into molten glass. Mountains ripped open as if something enormous had clawed straight through a planet's crust. The creature wasn't simply powerful. It was ancient. Older than the oldest empires in the galaxy. Older, perhaps, than civilization itself. Inside the towering chamber of the Galactic Council, the atmosphere was thick with unease. Hundreds of alien representatives watched the massive holographic display hovering in the center of the room. The projection showed a solar system. A small yellow star. 8 planets orbiting quietly. And one fragile blue world. Earth. A tall insectoid commander stepped forward, his long limbs folding behind his back. The creature has entered this system, he announced. The room erupted instantly. That system contains a developing civilization. They cannot defend themselves. Evacuate them immediately. The commander lifted one clawed hand. Silence slowly returned. Evacuation is impossible, he said. Population estimate, 8 billion. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. One counselor leaned forward. How long until the beast reaches the planet? The commander glanced down at the glowing tablet in his hand. 3 days. Another voice spoke up. What about military response? The commander's mandibles tightened slightly. We attempted that once before. The hologram changed. A recording appeared in the center of the chamber. A fleet. Not just any fleet. The largest armada ever assembled in galactic history. 3,000 warships formed a defensive wall in deep space. Battleships. Carriers. Planet cracker cannons. Enough firepower to wipe out entire civilizations. Then the stars shifted. Something moved through the darkness. At first it looked like a shadow. Then the shadow grew. Ships began exploding. Not slowly. Not one at a time. They vanished. Entire cruisers disappeared in flashes of light. Massive dreadnoughts were torn apart like fragile toys. The recording lasted 22 seconds. When it ended, the entire fleet was gone. The chamber fell completely silent. The beast destroyed the armada in 22 seconds, the commander said quietly. No weapon harmed it. A chill passed through the council. Everyone understood what that meant. If the creature reached Earth, the planet would not survive. 3 days later, the first human satellites detected something entering the solar system. At first, scientists believed it was a large asteroid. The object was massive, nearly the size of a small moon. But then the trajectory changed. Asteroids did not change course. Within minutes, alarms spread across every major space agency on Earth. Military networks activated. Satellites repositioned. Deep space telescopes focused on the approaching object. And what they saw made the entire planet fall silent. It was not an asteroid. It was alive. The creature was enormous. Its body looked like a fusion of armor, bone, and something stranger, structures that resembled living metal layered across an ancient skeleton. Massive wings stretched outward, each one spanning kilometers of empty space. Dark energy rippled along their edges like cosmic lightning. Its eyes burned like distant stars. Even from millions of kilometers away, the creature radiated a terrifying presence. When it opened its mouth and roared, the sound traveled through vacuum itself. Satellites trembled. Space stations lost power. Across Earth, oceans began to shift with unnatural tides. Humanity had never seen anything like it. The beast slowly drifted closer to the planet. Military commands across the world prepared for the same possibility. War. Missile silos armed. Fighter squadrons launched. Nuclear submarines moved into position. The world watched as the creature descended toward Earth. Then something strange happened. The beast stopped, hovering high above a vast desert region. It did not attack. It did not roar again. It simply waited. Confusion spread across military command centers. Why isn't it attacking? No idea. Is it scanning the planet? The creature slowly began to descend. Dust storms erupted as the enormous body approached the surface. Finally, the beast landed. The ground shook like an earthquake. Shockwaves rolled across the desert for miles. Jets circled overhead. Tanks surrounded the impact zone. Every weapon was aimed at the creature. Commanders waited for the order to fire. Then movement appeared at the edge of the desert. A single figure, walking slowly toward the monster. A girl, 16 years old. Brown hair tied in a practical ponytail. Wearing a worn jacket and simple boots. No weapons. No armor. Just calm determination in her eyes. Soldiers shouted over loudspeakers. "Stop!" But she didn't stop. She kept walking. Straight toward the creature that had destroyed entire civilizations. The beast moved. Its colossal head slowly lowered toward her. Jets locked their targeting systems. Snipers held their breath. Across the galaxy, billions of alien observers watched the live broadcast. Everyone expected the same outcome. The girl would die instantly. Instead, the creature stopped. Its massive head hovered inches above her. The desert fell silent. The girl raised her hand slowly and touched the creature's armored forehead. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the galaxy's deadliest beast closed its glowing eyes. And slowly, respectfully, it bowed its head to the human girl. Across the galaxy, billions of viewers stared at their screens in stunned silence. The devourer, the creature that had wiped out entire civilizations, was kneeling. Not in defeat. Not in pain. In recognition. Inside the massive chamber of the Galactic Council, chaos erupted instantly. That is impossible. No creature forces the devourer to submit. Is this some kind of human weapon? The insectoid commander who had presented the warning earlier leaned closer to the holographic display, his compound eyes narrowing. "No," he whispered slowly. "It isn't submission." The other council members turned toward him. "Then what is it?" someone demanded. The commander watched the footage carefully as the girl stood calmly beneath the towering creature. "It's respect." The chamber fell silent again. Back on Earth, every soldier in the desert had frozen. Jets circled above the scene, their pilots staring in disbelief. The creature's head was the size of a mountain. Its glowing eyes slowly opened again as it stared at the small human standing before it. The girl didn't run. She didn't panic. Instead, she gently rested her hand on the creature's armored forehead. The metal-like plates were warm. Alive. The beast exhaled slowly, a deep rumble rolling across the desert like distant thunder. Instead of attacking, the creature leaned closer, almost like a giant animal greeting someone it trusted. Military commanders watched the live feed with shaking hands. "Why isn't it killing her?" one officer whispered. No one had an answer. The girl spoke softly. Her voice was barely audible through the desert winds. But every microphone nearby picked it up. "Hello," she said quietly. The creature made a deep, resonating sound. Not a roar. Something softer. Almost curious. For the first time in recorded galactic history, the devourer was not behaving like a monster. It was behaving like a creature meeting someone familiar. Thousands of light-years away, inside the archives of the Galactic Council, researchers began searching desperately through ancient records. Something about this situation felt wrong. The devourer did not kneel. It did not hesitate. It did not show restraint. Yet on Earth, the creature had done all three. An elderly alien archivist suddenly froze as a dusty star map appeared on his screen. "Wait." He pulled up another file. And another. Ancient data fragments began linking together. His eyes widened. No. He activated an emergency transmission to the council chamber. You need to see this immediately. Back on Earth, the desert had become the most watched location in the universe. Millions of satellites from alien civilizations now observed the scene. Human soldiers slowly lowered their weapons. The beast had not attacked. And the girl still stood safely beside it. She slowly began walking around the creature's enormous head. The devourer followed her movements with surprising gentleness. When she stopped in front of it again, the creature lowered its head even further. The girl smiled faintly. You were lonely, weren't you? The beast let out another deep rumble. This time, the sound vibrated through the ground. Across the galaxy, scientists scrambled to analyze the audio. It's not a roar, one researcher said in shock. It's communication. Inside the Galactic Council chamber, the emergency transmission from the archives suddenly appeared on the central hologram. Ancient star charts filled the room. A long-extinct civilization appeared on the display. The Aurelian architects, the archivist explained. The oldest known civilization in our records. Council members leaned forward. The Aurelians were almost mythical. They had existed long before most current species evolved. Advanced beyond comprehension. Their technology had shaped entire star systems. But then, they vanished. No explanation. No surviving worlds. Nothing but ruins scattered across the galaxy. The archivist highlighted a symbol in the ancient records. The symbol matched markings that scientists had just identified on the devourer's armored body. Gasps echoed through the chamber. You're saying? One counselor began slowly. Yes, the archivist replied. The devourer was not a natural creature. He zoomed the display closer. Ancient diagrams appeared. Massive biological constructs. Living weapons. Guardians. The Aurelians created a species of cosmic protectors, the archivist said. Beasts designed to defend their civilization from any threat. Another council member spoke nervously. But the Aurelians disappeared. Exactly. The archivist nodded. And their guardians were left alone. For thousands of years. Lost. Confused. Without the creators they were designed to protect. The chamber slowly filled with a terrifying realization. The devourer had never been a mindless monster. It had been a guardian searching for its creators. The insectoid commander looked back at the live broadcast from Earth. The girl was still standing beside the beast. Calm. Unafraid. How is that possible? Someone whispered. The archivist pulled up one final piece of data. Human DNA scans from the broadcast. Next to it, an ancient Aurelian genetic record. The two sequences aligned. Not perfectly, but close enough. The archivist looked directly at the council. Because humans, he said quietly, may be the closest living descendants of the Aurelians. Back in the desert, the girl gently patted the creature's armored face. The devourer lowered itself slightly, making it easier for her to reach. To the soldiers watching nearby, the scene looked impossible. The deadliest creature in the galaxy was acting like a loyal animal. The girl looked up at the massive glowing eyes. It's okay, she said softly. You found us. The beast closed its eyes again. And the ground trembled as it settled beside her. For the first time in thousands of years, the devourer had finally found something it recognized. Family. The entire galaxy was watching Earth. Not a single empire, council, or research station ignored the live transmissions coming from the small blue planet. Because what was happening there defied everything they knew. The devourer, the creature responsible for destroying fleets and civilizations, was not attacking. It was resting. Beside a human girl. In the desert, the sun had begun to sink toward the horizon. Long shadows stretched across the sand as military forces carefully maintained a safe perimeter around the enormous creature. No one dared get too close. Except her. The girl sat on a small rock near the beast's massive head, her legs dangling casually while the creature's glowing eyes followed her every movement. From a distance, the scene looked unreal. A being capable of wiping out planets. Sitting quietly beside a teenage human. General Marcus Hale stood near one of the armored command vehicles, staring through binoculars at the scene. He had commanded troops in 3 wars. He had seen weapons that could vaporize cities. But this? This was something entirely different. "Report," he said quietly. A communications officer beside him spoke quickly into a headset. "Global observation confirmed, sir. Alien satellites are everywhere." Hale nodded. Of course they were. The whole galaxy had a front-row seat to whatever happened next. And none of them understood it. Thousands of light-years away, inside the Galactic Council chamber, the atmosphere had shifted from panic to something far more unsettling. Fear. Not of the beast, but of what it meant. The archivist's discovery had shaken every civilization present. Humans shared genetic similarities with the long-lost Aurelian architects. The most advanced civilization that had ever existed. A species so powerful that their ruins still confused modern science. And they had created the Devourer. Which meant, if the beast recognized humans, then humanity might be the closest thing it had to its creators. One council member spoke slowly. "If the humans can command the creature." Another finished the sentence. "They could control the most powerful weapon in the galaxy." Murmurs spread across the chamber. Empires had risen and fallen trying to defeat the Devourer. And now it was sitting quietly beside a human teenager. The insectoid commander folded his arms thoughtfully. "You misunderstand the situation," he said. Several counselors looked toward him. "The creature does not appear to be obeying the girl." He pointed toward the holographic screen showing the live desert feed. "It appears to be protecting her." Back on Earth, the girl stretched slightly and stood up. The Devourer's massive head lifted immediately. The movement sent a ripple of fear through the nearby soldiers. Missile systems rearmed automatically. But the creature didn't attack. It simply watched her. She walked a few steps across the sand. The beast slowly followed, its enormous body shifting carefully so it didn't crush anything nearby. Jets overhead adjusted their flight paths nervously. The creature was moving. General Hale's voice echoed through the command radio. "Hold fire. Nobody shoots unless I give the order." Every soldier obeyed instantly. One wrong move could start the end of the world. The girl stopped walking and turned back toward the creature. "You've been alone for a long time, haven't you?" she said quietly. The Devourer lowered its head again. A deep vibration rolled across the desert. Scientists monitoring the sound waves immediately began analyzing the frequencies. One researcher gasped. "It's responding to her voice." "How?" "We're not sure yet." Inside a human research center thousands of miles away, geneticist Dr. Elena Ward stared at a rapidly updating DNA comparison chart. The Aurelian genetic fragments from the Galactic Council archives had just been transmitted to Earth. She compared them carefully against modern human DNA. The results made her heart race. It wasn't identical. Not even close. But the similarities were undeniable. Key genetic structures matched perfectly. Ancient markers hidden deep within human DNA aligned with the lost civilization's code. Dr. Ward leaned back slowly. "My God!" Another scientist turned toward her. "What is it?" She stared at the screen in disbelief. "We're not their descendants," she whispered. The room fell quiet. "Then what are we?" someone asked. Dr. Ward zoomed in on the matching genetic sequences. "These markers aren't signs of inheritance." She took a slow breath. "They're signs of modification." The realization hit everyone in the room at once. Thousands of years ago, the Aurelians hadn't just built Guardians. They had also altered a primitive species on a distant planet. Earth. Humanity had never evolved entirely on its own. They had been changed, designed to survive, designed to adapt, designed to endure, and perhaps, designed to command the Guardians. Back in the desert, the girl looked up at the creature's glowing eyes. The massive beast seemed calmer now. Peaceful, even. She placed her hand against its armored face again. "You were protecting us, weren't you?" she whispered. The creature made a deep sound. Not aggressive. Not threatening. Almost relieved. As if the burden it had carried for thousands of years had finally ended. The girl smiled gently. You can rest now. The devourer lowered itself further onto the desert floor, its enormous wings folding slowly. The ground trembled as the creature settled beside her. Across the galaxy, billions of viewers watched the moment in stunned silence. Because the truth was becoming clear. The devourer had not come to destroy Earth. It had come to find the ones it was created to protect. And after wandering the galaxy alone for thousands of years, it had finally found them. Humans. For the first time in recorded history, the galaxy was afraid of Earth. Not because of its fleets. Not because of its weapons. But because of what stood beside it. The devourer. The most feared creature in existence. And it had chosen humanity. Inside the Galactic Council chamber, tension filled the massive hall. Some representatives were still staring at the live desert broadcast in disbelief. The human girl now sat beside the creature's massive claw as if it were the most normal thing in the universe. But not everyone saw it as peaceful. Several powerful empires saw something else. Opportunity. Or danger. A tall reptilian warlord rose from his seat. His species ruled dozens of star systems and commanded one of the largest militaries in the galaxy. This cannot be allowed, he growled. The chamber turned toward him. If the humans truly control the devourer, they could dominate every civilization in this council. Another leader spoke cautiously. They have not shown any hostile intent. That does not matter, the warlord snapped. He pointed toward the projection of Earth. That creature destroyed entire armadas without effort. Imagine if humans ordered it to attack. Silence filled the room. Because everyone knew he was right. No empire could stop the devourer. If humanity controlled it, the balance of power in the galaxy would collapse overnight. The reptilian warlord's voice lowered. We must act before they learn how to use it. Far from Earth, deep in interstellar space, fleets began to move. Quietly. Secretly. Warships belonging to multiple empires gathered together in a temporary alliance. Not an official war. Not yet. But enough ships to erase a developing civilization. Thousands of vessels emerged from hyperspace. Battleships. Carrier platforms. Planetary bombardment cruisers. Weapons capable of turning continents into firestorms. Their destination was simple. Earth. Back on the planet, the girl had fallen asleep. The desert night had grown cold, and she leaned gently against the devourer's armored side. The massive creature barely moved. Its glowing eyes scanned the sky constantly. Watching. Protecting. General Marcus Hale stood nearby, speaking with scientists and military officers. So far it hasn't shown any aggression, one researcher explained. Hale nodded. But it also hasn't left. Maybe it's guarding her. The general glanced at the sleeping girl. That's exactly what worries me. Because if the creature saw Earth as something to protect, then anything approaching the planet might look like a threat. And that could start a war humanity wasn't ready for. Suddenly, alarms screamed through the command vehicles. Satellite operators shouted over the radio. Multiple hyperspace signatures detected. Hale's head snapped up. How many? The operator's voice trembled. Thousands. High above Earth, space itself began to tear open. One by one, alien warships appeared. Then hundreds. Then thousands. A massive armada surrounded the planet within minutes. The ships formed a blockade around Earth's orbit. Weapons powered up immediately. Inside the lead warship, the reptilian warlord stared down at the blue planet. Begin planetary suppression protocols. His officers hesitated. What about the devourer? The warlord's eyes narrowed. If the creature interferes. He paused. We eliminate the humans first. On Earth, panic spread across global defense networks. Human satellites detected the incoming fleet instantly. Emergency alerts triggered worldwide. Military commanders scrambled. But the situation was hopeless. Earth's combined defenses couldn't fight thousands of alien warships. Cities prepared for the worst. And in the desert, the devourer slowly stood up. The movement woke the girl immediately. She looked up sleepily as the creature raised its massive head toward the sky. The glowing eyes were brighter now. Focused. Angry. High above the planet, alien fleets locked their weapons onto Earth. The reptilian warlord gave the command. Fire! Energy cannons began charging. Planet-cracking weapons aligned with major human cities. But before the alien fleet could attack, something moved. The Devourer spread its enormous wings. The sky darkened instantly. The girl stood up beside the creature, looking confused. What's wrong? The beast roared. For the first time since arriving on Earth. The sound shook mountains. Across the planet, people heard it. Across space, alien fleets felt the vibration through their ships. The Devourer had sensed the threat. And now, it was angry. The girl looked up at the massive creature. Then she noticed the alien fleet filling the sky. Her expression changed instantly. They are attacking us, she whispered. The creature lowered its head slightly, waiting. Almost as if asking permission. The girl hesitated for only a moment. Then she gently touched the creature's armored face. Her voice was quiet. But the entire galaxy heard it through countless satellites. Protect them! The Devourer launched into the sky. The desert exploded in a storm of sand and shockwaves as the massive creature shot upward like a living comet. Alien fleets barely had time to react. The first warship vanished instantly. Then another. Then 20 more. The Devourer moved faster than any ship. Claws tore through armor. Energy beams shattered harmlessly against its ancient shell. Entire cruisers were ripped apart and hurled into space. Within seconds, panic spread across the alien fleet. The reptilian warlord stared in disbelief. That creature is defending the planet. Another explosion rocked the fleet. A carrier ship split in half. Retreat, someone shouted. But it was too late. The Devourer had finally found something worth protecting. And it would not allow the galaxy to destroy it. For the first time in history, the most dangerous creature in the universe was fighting for humanity. The battle lasted less than 10 minutes. But the galaxy would remember it for thousands of years. Above Earth, the alien fleet had arrived with thousands of warships, enough firepower to erase civilizations. They believed they were facing a young, defenseless species. Instead, they faced the Devourer. The creature moved through space like a living storm. Warships fired everything they had. Plasma cannons, particle lances, planetary annihilation beams. None of it mattered. The Devourer tore through the fleet with terrifying precision. One cruiser vanished beneath its claws. Another exploded as the beast's tail struck it with the force of a meteor. Entire squadrons attempted to flee. But the creature was faster. The void itself seemed to bend around its massive wings as it hunted through the armada. On Earth, billions of humans watched the battle unfold on screens around the world. Cities stood silent. No one spoke. They were witnessing something no civilization had ever survived. The Devourer wasn't just defending the planet. It was angry. Thousands of alien ships turned and fled toward hyperspace. Some escaped. Most didn't. Within minutes, the once massive armada had been reduced to drifting wreckage. The stars above Earth slowly cleared. The battle was over. And humanity had never fired a single shot. In the desert, the girl stood beside the enormous crater where the Devourer had launched into the sky. Dust still drifted through the air. Military forces remained frozen, watching the heavens. Then the stars shifted again. The creature returned. The Devourer descended slowly through the atmosphere, glowing faintly from the heat of Reentry. It landed gently beside the girl once more. The ground trembled under its weight. But this time, there was no fear in the air. Only awe. The beast lowered its massive head again. The girl smiled and placed her hand against its armored face. "You did good," she whispered. The creature let out a deep, satisfied rumble. Then it folded its enormous wings and rested beside her like a silent guardian. Across the galaxy, every civilization had witnessed the same broadcast. The Devourer. Defending Earth. Destroying one of the largest fleets ever assembled. And obeying a human. Inside the Galactic Council chamber, no one spoke. The silence lasted several long minutes. Finally, the insectoid commander stood up slowly. "We must reconsider our understanding of humanity." A nervous council member replied. You mean we should fear them? The commander shook his head. No. He looked toward the holographic image of Earth. We should respect them. The archivist spoke next. For thousands of years, the Devourer wandered the galaxy searching for its creators. He gestured toward the human girl on the display. And now it has found them. Another council member whispered quietly. If humans are truly the descendants of the Aurelians. The chamber filled with unease. Because that possibility meant something profound. Humanity might not just be another young species. They might be the inheritors of the most advanced civilization that had ever existed. And the guardians those ancients created had returned to them. Weeks later, a meeting was held that would change galactic history. For the first time, Earth sent a representative to the Galactic Council. The chamber filled with hundreds of alien leaders. Many of them still shaken by the destruction of the Armada. When the doors opened, a single human walked inside. The girl. She wore simple clothes and walked calmly to the center of the chamber. Behind her, outside the massive space station windows, something enormous drifted silently in orbit. The Devourer. Waiting. Watching. The council members shifted uneasily in their seats. One leader finally spoke. Human representative, do you control the creature? The girl looked around the enormous chamber. Her expression remained calm. Then she shook her head. No. Confusion spread across the room. Then why does it obey you? Another counselor asked. The girl smiled faintly. It doesn't. She turned slightly, looking toward the stars outside the window where the Devourer waited. The creature's glowing eyes could faintly be seen even from that distance. It protects us, she said. Silence filled the chamber again. Because every alien there suddenly understood something terrifying. The Devourer wasn't humanity's weapon. It was their guardian. And guardians did not follow orders. They protected their family. The girl looked back at the council. You tried to destroy our world, she said calmly. Several council members lowered their heads in shame. But the girl's voice softened. We don't want war. She glanced once more toward the massive creature in orbit. We just want to live. No one in the chamber doubted her. Because outside the station, the most dangerous creature in the universe waited patiently. And the entire galaxy had learned one simple truth. The Devourer had not bowed out of weakness. It had bowed out of recognition. Humanity was no longer alone. And now, the galaxy would think very carefully before threatening Earth again.